Tonight we are honored to welcome Professor Billy Collins, one of the most celebrated poets of our time. Perhaps the best introduction to his work comes from his own words. I ask them to take a poem and hold it up to the light as a color slide. I say, drop a mouse into a poem and watch him probe his way out, or walk inside the poem's room and feel the walls for a light switch. Billy Collins' great genius is his ability to hold poetry, to hold life up to the light like a color slide. One of the reasons why I invited him to join us here at a theological school is that I believe there's a whole lot of parallels between what it means to be a pastor, a theologian, and a poet. Or certainly, as pastors and theologians try to hone their craft, we have much to learn from the poets. Would you please join me in welcoming Billy Collins? We live in a day that values science and technology and big data. Why do we need poetry?
Well, because of those things. I guess poetry is little data. Poetry, if it does nothing, it asks us to tap the brakes, slow down. And also, the form of poetry itself tells you to slow down in that, the lines don't go out to the end of the page. We don't do that because we don't want to write prose, God forbid. The turning of the line back into the poem is almost telling the reader's eyes to come back in here. Come back into this thing. Come back into this little soundscape or this little verbal playground where things are going on. Come back in, come back in. And the poem is moving forward, but it's also recirculating your attention in that way. So it's basically just the case for slowing down. I mean, and if you finally, if you slow completely down, if you come to a complete stop, then you find yourself in a kind of meditative trance, which is not a bad thing either.
What habits do you recommend to feed your mind or keep it sharp enough for writing poetry?
Well, getting up in the morning and not doing anything for a while, like not checking email or reading the newspaper, and just spending a half an hour doing nothing every day. The problem today is that it's not that we're subjected to a flood of information, we're subjected to a flood of insignificance. That really should resonate. So one way is just to take time out from the flood of insignificance and do nothing for a half an hour. It has been calculated that each copy of the Gutenberg Bible required the skins of 300 sheep. I can see them squeezed into the holding pen behind the stone building where the printing press is housed, all of them squirming around to find a little room, and looking so much alike, it would be nearly impossible to count them, and there is no telling which one will carry the news that the Lord is a shepherd, one of the few things they already know. So, gets you thinking.